Hey guys, how's it going? So, The Rise of Skywalker is once again directed by J.J. Abrams, who directed Force Awakens, not Last Jedi, and it once again stars all the main characters, the usual cast, and you basically have this is basically the conclusion to the sequel trilogy, and it is also the conclusion to the Skywalker saga. And yes, we are still getting movies because Disney is now a god, basically. And if you can tell, guys, I unfortunately cannot do a spoiler-free review. I physically cannot do a spoiler-free review. There's so much to talk about in The Rise of Skywalker. I really mean it. And so, if you guys have not seen Rise of Skywalker, I suggest you get off now and come back once you've seen the film. Or if you don't care, then hey, welcome. And yes, we will get to positives and negatives with Rise of Skywalker, because this film has been very divisive. If you thought Last Jedi was divisive, take a look at Rise of Skywalker. Oh boy. So, after the credits, you see Kylo Ren in this war, and you see hear the Emperor Palpatine's voice. Yes, the Emperor Palpatine is back. And basically and you also hear a bit of James Earl Jones, Darth Vader as well. Ian McDermott, sorry, sorry guys. If you know me, guys, I have really bad spelling, so please be grateful. But yes, Emperor Palpatine is back. If you've seen the trailers with the laugh, you will know that the Emperor has a moment in Rise of Skywalker if you've seen the trailers. And now you get to see the characters back, of course, Poe, Finn, and of course Rey. You know, I will say though, this is probably the most chemistry they have had of the this is probably the most chemistry these three characters have had of this sequel trilogy. That's one positive I can give for Rise of Skywalker. And you, of course, see Leia talking to Rey, because we all know that Carrie Fisher unfortunately passed away in the end of 2016. So they basically used previous footage from the previous films, and basically because they want to until the end of the sequel trilogy. And I like the way they used Leia in this film, played by Carrie Fisher. I like what they've done with Carrie Fisher, because the fact that she's dead, and I like the fact what they're doing with her character, bringing back some footage. That's another positive I can give for Rise of Skywalker. So then you get to see this go on to this desert place, and another old character is back. Lando Calrissian. Lando Calrissian is back. He doesn't show much in the film, but it's great to see him in there anyway. And so, the first shot of the teaser in Rise of Skywalker trailer, you see Rey in this desert while the other guys are trying to get back into this Falcon. There's this ship from the First Order. Then you see Kylo Ren's TIE fighter going past by, and Rey does a backflip, and they have the TIE fighter, and they kidnap Chewbacca because he is not dead, believe it or not, because Rey is trying to use her force back with the ship, and so is Kylo Ren pushing it forward. But Rey accidentally uses lightning. But Chewie is still alive. And also, you also see a moment where C-3PO has a new mind, but thankfully he keeps the same mind as before. But yes, C-3PO is in this. He's been in all the Star Wars films, and he is not disappointed at all in any of the movies. So, anyways, what else was I going to say in this one? Guys, this leads into some negatives, which we'll get into soon, because The Rise of Skywalker was a mess at points. It was very predictable in certain places, and overall, it's not a complete disaster as some Star Wars fans are considering it to be. No, it's not the worst Star Wars movie. It is still a disappointing film for me. I was disappointed in this film. But like with any Star Wars film, there are good points. The action is great. The film is well shot. All the Star Wars films by Disney are well shot. And it has nostalgia in there. Now, in the end of in the trailers where they're over this river at the end of the first teaser before the Emperor does the laugh, Rey's looking at this Death Star from Return of the Jedi. It's in this ocean. Basically, she and Kylo Ren have this fight. It's not shown towards the end of the movie. It's shown in the middle of the movie. Basically, they're having this fight. It's basically the first Jedi fight in this. No. Basically, there's multiple times Kylo Ren is being fighting because he's getting into Rey's mind basically at certain points of the film. But anyways, let's talk about the ocean Jedi fight. That's what I would call it anyway, because technically the Death Star destroyed is technically on that ocean, and basically Kylo Ren stops for a moment, drops the lightsaber, and Rey stabs him, and then uses force to recover Kylo Ren. Okay. Now, this film is also very, very fast-paced. That's another problem I have with this film. There's not enough character development. As I said earlier, the character development with Poe, Finn, and Rey is all great. Well, to certain scenes where they're having good chemistry, but still, the film is just very fast-paced. But yes, Kylo Ren's easily the best character in this whole trilogy. And then Rey goes off, Kylo Ren gets up, and Han Solo shows up. Yes, Han Solo, Harrison Ford shows up. Not as a ghost, though, but, saying all the current things that has happened, saying that he misses him, Ben Solo, who is actually Kylo Ren, and unfortunately Leia does die in this film. Leia does die in this film at a certain point before you have this big epic battle, which we'll get into soon. And then Kylo Ren starts throwing his lightsaber and realizes that there's no Kylo Ren. He is Ben Solo. Oh boy, here we go. Anyways, before we get to the actual final bit of the film, the big battle, let's talk. Then Rey goes off to the island where Luke Skywalker was, where he was training Rey. Sees this burnt TIE fighter, starts throwing the lightsaber, and Master Luke catches it as a ghost. I've only seen this film once, guys, so I'm not gonna talk too much in spoilers because I've only seen the film once. And yes, I would like to see this again to get my full on thoughts with this film, because there are elements of this film I'm still kind of confused, but still, I just cannot do a spoiler-free review because there's just so much to talk about in this film. So I'm doing my best, so bear with me. And then you get this showdown. You get all these ships where Lando Calrissian is in this Millennium Falcon, bringing all the ships, similar ships that you see in Return of the Jedi, where they're going up against Death Star number 2. And you get all these Star Destroyers. There are tons of them. And basically, Rey eventually meets the Emperor Palpatine. And then you hear this crowd with hoods, previous Jedis in the previous movies. And I'm like, okay, but cinematic universe doesn't really work for Star Wars. Those characters are done and over with. Yes, mentioning the original characters is great, like, Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. Yes, it's great. But the prequels were the prequels to the original trilogy, for goodness sake. Why set this up? Because Rise of Skywalker is set so many years after those prequel movies. Like, come on, why? This is absurd. Just bring back all those voices. Thankfully, they're just the voices, not their actual selves, because most of them are all dead. And then Ben Solo comes back. Yes, Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, basically is now on Rey's side. And you see the Emperor Palpatine using power and fixes himself because his fingers are all fucked up. But he's all together now. He looks exactly like the Emperor Palpatine from Revenge of the Sith. That's where I would put it. And then shoots lightning everywhere in the sky. And then Ben Solo is down, and then Rey then steps in and says, "I am all of the Jedi." And then takes out the Emperor Palpatine and fades away and dies for a minute. Rey sacrifices herself for a minute, but then Ben Solo comes back and saves Rey, and they kiss each other. Okay. And Ben Solo dies. The main villain of the sequel trilogy dies, Kylo Ren, after that kiss Okay, because yes, in Last Jedi, Kylo Ren killed his own other boss, Snoke, played by Andy Serkis, and then Rey and Kylo Ren are going against these Snoke guards. I keep saying Stoke, it's Snoke anyway. And which is sort of like a catchback, because in Last Jedi, Kylo Ren is reaching his hand to Rey. And yeah, that's just a bit of a reference anyway. And then that's the big battle over. Then after all the characters getting back together, you see the Ewoks back. Okay, those Ewoks were only in Return of the Jedi. In the original trilogy, they were only in Return of the Jedi. Okay? But I do kind of understand why they would have brought back the Porgs, on Luke Skywalker's islands. I can't understand that, but the Ewoks, really? And after they all celebrate, Rey and BB-8 then go off to Tatooine, the first Star Wars movie of the Star Wars saga, A New Hope, or many people call it Star Wars, since it was released 1977, called Star Wars, the first Star Wars film in the saga. The iconic scene where Luke Skywalker is looking at the sun. Well, before that happens, you get this woman coming over and says, "What's your name?" "Rey." And then you see Luke Skywalker and Leia as their ghosts, and says, "Rey Skywalker." The end. Okay, now, first of all, Daisy Ridley is great as Rey still. But here's the thing. But this film does not explain how Rey got all those powers. This film does not explain anything. Last Jedi kind of did, because technically Force Awakens had a cliffhanger, and Last Jedi left off that. Rise of Skywalker felt like it took place a few months or maybe a year afterwards. The only character they really explained, only kind of explained, was Kylo Ren. But yeah, Rey, she's still a good Star Wars character nonetheless. I'm glad that Force Awakens brought back, all the Star Wars nostalgia. The Force Awakens. I still love that movie today. And yes, it's not perfect, but I still love it. And I still really like Last Jedi. It has lessened down, Last Jedi, but I still really like Last Jedi. And yes, I am keeping this shirt because I am a supporter on it. Deal with it. And the solo Star Wars films, yeah, Rogue One was good, but not great. And Solo Star Wars Story was okay. Now, 2019, there were a lot of endings to certain movies. How to Train Your Dragon had a conclusion. How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, which I reviewed back in my Quick Movie Reviews 2019. I was very curious what they were going to do with this one. And okay, The Hidden World, that's a nice conclusion to How to Train Your Dragon. And then we had the great big Avengers Endgame, and it was friggin' amazing. Yes, probably the best ending since, Return of the King. And then Toy Story 4 came out, and, we were very curious because Toy Story 3 ended off perfectly. And then Toy Story 4 was good. and you had Rambo: Last Blood, the probably last Rambo film, which we're probably going to get. It was an enjoyable enough film, but yes. But with Rise of Skywalker, I was like, yep, this is the most disappointing of them all. But I do not completely hate this movie. I do not completely hate Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker has its moments. It literally does have its moments. And yes, the action is still great. It's well shot. All the Star Wars movies by Disney are well shot. And, seeing some of the characters are great. But oh boy, is there a lot to hate. The Emperor Palpatine is just wasted. I just wasn't a fan what they did with the Emperor Palpatine. I do kind of understand why you're bringing him back, because they killed Snoke in Last Jedi. But I just wasn't a fan of Emperor Palpatine in this one. But, yeah. And it just kind of felt like too much of a cinematic universe. Bringing the previous Jedis involved in this film. Come on, we don't need that. I understand why we needed to bring Han Solo back. I understand that. And of course I understand why they had to bring Luke Skywalker back, because he only died in Last Jedi. And yes, spoilers. But bringing back the previous Jedis from the prequels, I'm like, why? This film has nothing to do with those characters. So overall, guys, Last Jedi is a mixed bag for me. I don't throughout hate Rise of Skywalker. Or if in this case people hate it, then in case the retardedness of Skywalker. When I left the cinema, after, Rey looks at the sunset, of course you have the sun set, and then you lead on to the usual credits, and then you have the Darth Vader thing. Dun 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 dun. And then before I left the screen, while that thing was playing, I just did this. Can Disney ever improve anything other than that? Now look, guys, I've watched the first episode of The Mandalorian because I unfortunately do not have Netflix or Disney Plus at the minute, but I've seen some TV stuff on free movie websites. But they're really horrible, those websites. But I loved the first Mandalorian episode. It was great. I've only seen the first episode. And yes, that baby Yoda is adorable. Baby Yoda is adorable. I've only seen the first episode in The Mandalorian. That's it. I'm hopefully going to watch more of it soon. I'm assuming it's great because I've heard so many great things. But yes, Last Jedi. Would I watch this again? Yeah. To sort of get my full thoughts on. Technically I would still give this a rating. But I just don't know if this will be the actual rating yet, because I don't know. Rise of Skywalker. No, this is not the worst Star Wars movie. But there's fun moments to it. It's one of the weakest in the series, and it's the weakest of the sequel trilogy. It's just a mixed bag for me, Rise of Skywalker. I really wanted to love Rise of Skywalker, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. So on my rating scale, at the moment, it will change. It will change sometime. I would rate Rise of Skywalker. I would rate this either a 5 or 6 out of 10. Somewhere around there. 5 or 6 out of 10. I don't know what I would actually give it. but it's either 5 or 6 out of 10. I don't know. But alrighty, guys, that was my thoughts on Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Comment down below, let me know what your thoughts on Rise of Skywalker are. You know, let me know below in the comments what you liked about it and what you hated about it. Let me know below in the comments. And yes, we all have our opinions. That's the truth and beauty experience. So let's not all get mad at each other because of all this divisiveness with Last Jedi and especially Rise of Skywalker. Let's not all get mad. Let's all have a great discussion about Rise of Skywalker, why you think it's bad, why you think it's good. Let me know below all of that in the comments below. And at some point, I will rank the movies at some point, because I haven't done a ranking in a while, because I've been busy, so yes. But as always, guys, comment, like, and subscribe. All of my social media links are in the description below. Don't forget to click the notification bell before you leave. And as always, until my next video, folks, I shall see you all then, and peace.